Hello everyone and welcome to our Divi feature update live, streaming every Monday at 6 a.m. Eastern. Now, if you can hear me loud and clear, please do let me know in the comments box so that we get off to a good start. I can see already there's quite a lot of you who have already tuned in. That's fantastic. And the first one in our chat here is Uncle Social. Okay, nice to see you all. Right, is the sound okay? Please let me know if the sound is okay. Okay, looks like I'm on air. Fantastic. Right. Thank you all for tuning in. We have Uncle Social, and as I mentioned, he was the first one to be in the stream, which is fantastic. We also have Luke, Manoj. We also have JR saying hello, Mac. Hey, JR, how you doing? We have Daniel. We have Rakibul from Bangladesh. Also, we have Joe as well. Alamo, I think. And we're also on Facebook, by the way. So I'm just going to check here on Facebook and see. We have Harrison. We have Isom Kelly. And we also have Jeff, Alex, Ivan, Tran. Awesome, awesome. Quite a lot of you are tuned in today. Right, today we are talking about our feature which was released last week, which is the filter button. Now, this button enables us to work efficiently now in Divi. So what I'll be doing today is I'll be showing you how to use this feature and also give you like practical examples of how you can actually apply this in your design process. Okay, so what I've done ahead of time is I've gone ahead and I have loaded a layout pack. So what I'll do is I'll just show you the page I loaded from my layout pack. And this is the layout pack, the coffee house. Okay. So in fact, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to save and exit this page so I can zoom in because it makes it much easier for you to see. Okay. Okay, I think that's better. Right, so what I've done here is all I've done is loaded the layout pack from the coffee house. So I'm going to enable the builder here. So at first glance, you don't see this filter button. However, this button can be seen on all settings models. So if you come over here to the row settings, section settings, you'll see that button right there on the top. And as I mentioned, it's all on the filter models. So if I come over here on this gear icon, again, we see it right there. Okay. Now, you have to be running the latest Divi update in order for you to see this. So be sure to update Divi and make sure you're running the latest update, because if you're not, you won't be able to see this feature. Okay, so let's dive in and let's get started. So firstly, let's talk about the modified styles. So when you take a look at a layout page, or even let's say a page that someone has given you to work on, it can be very difficult to pinpoint where the changes are made, because sometimes these backgrounds are done on the row and not on the actual section. So by just looking at this, there's no way of knowing how this was put together. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look here at our first item, which is the modified styles. So I'm going to come over here to my row settings. I'm going to click on the filter, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on modified styles. Now, what this has done, and this is huge, this has now just shown me the only things that were modified on this row. Now, before, we used to get a long list of items here, and it was just trial and error to see where these items were modified, and sometimes you had to go in and take a look at all the different items that the row settings come with. Now, let me just show you what that looks like without the modified styles. Okay, so let's say I just come in here normally as before, row settings. So you see here we have the background and we have everything here. See? And then we have to collapse the background, and then if there's more items, you'll see more items here. And if we go into the design, take a look at this. Look at all this stuff. We have alignment, we have sizing, we have spacing. So all these things here is what we used to see before. So if you want to cut down everything and just work on the items that were modified here, all you have to do is to click on modified styles, and then it cuts down everything else and it just keeps the items that were changed on this design. Okay, so do you think this is a useful tip? Let me hear your feedback in the comments, because in my opinion, this was one of the most frustrating things when it came to editing all these layout packs, because you'd have to go through all the settings. Okay, right. So I'm just going to close this now and let's move on to the next thing. So that was the modified styles. So let's say you want to take a look at the modified styles in different modules, because I just did this on the row. So this can also be done on sections. It can also be done on modules. So if I come over here to the section settings, again, I'm going to click on filter, modified styles, and there we go. So these are the modifications that were done. And we can see here, there's a 10% padding on the top, 10% padding on the bottom, and we have an image here. And if we come over here, there's also a background color. So this, in my opinion, is fantastic. Right, I'm going to close this, and then I'm going to do one more example on a module. So I'm going to come over here to my module settings, and these are the text settings. Again, I'm going to click here on the filter and click on modified styles. Right, so all these are the modified styles. Okay, so here's the text font. Here's the font weight, the line height, the alignment. So all these are the things that you need to make changes to this text mode. So let me just do some changes here quickly so you can see them. So right there, I've changed the title. If I move over here, I can just align this wherever I want. I can also adjust the line height quickly. So these changes are only happening to the item that I've chosen. And I can also reduce the line height here. Okay, and also I can make this heavy if I wanted to, so you can see here it's updating. And once I'm done with that, I can just go ahead and save. Right, so what do you think about this update? In fact, let me come over here to the comments and take a look. Daniel says it's awesome as you say. Fantastic. Okay, let's take a look here. Oh, we have Donald from Ireland as well. Good to see you. We have Sean Miller. Ravindra from India. Awesome. Okay. We also have Sheikh Hadayat from Kuwait. Awesome. Right, JR says it's huge. Yes, I think so too. I think this is fantastic because when I was working in the Visual Builder, at some point I was saying to myself, this is just too many options for us to make changes in the Visual Builder. I mean, how can we just trim it down? And you know what? When this feature came out, I was really, really excited, because sometimes I just dread to go in and go through the whole list of all the settings just to make my changes. So this is brilliant. Okay, let's take a look here. Karen says, great update, very useful. Yes, I agree. Let's go over here to Facebook and see what is happening here on Facebook. Harrison says, boom. Right. The sound, I'm not sure. I think this is the software that I'm using, because every time I switch to my desktop, the sound lowers a bit. So you just have to bear with me. I'll still try and find out if there's a fix for that. So there's nothing really I can do. It's OBS that I use, and that's what's causing the problem. Okay, so let's go back over here and let's do some more work. Okay, right. So let's say you want to view modified styles. Okay, so you're here on this layout and you want to see what has been modified. Okay, so again, you can use this shortcut, and this time it's a right click. So if I right click over here, you'll notice that we have view modified style. So if you click on that, it shows you what has been modified here. Okay, so we can also use the right click in order for us to see what has been modified. And this is quicker because you can just go anywhere on the page and do that. So let's say I come over here to this button, I can just right click, view modified style. And these are all the styles that apply to the button, okay, and nothing else. And all this is all on one screen, so you don't have to switch tabs to go and find this information, okay? So that was the button. It also works on the rows and also on the sections. So over here, let's try something different. Let's go on the rows and see view modified style. And again, we can see the changes that were made here are the background and the fade as well in the animation style. Okay, right, so that's the modified styles. Okay, so we also have another feature here. In fact, let me find a section that I can go to in order for me to showcase this. Okay, so over here, I'm going to go into the filter, and this time I'm going to choose active content. So active content is another item another addition which I think is fantastic because it shows you what is active on that content. So let's say I'm working on, because this one has quite a lot of things here. So I'm going to right click. In fact, we don't see the active content on the right click. So we really have to go into the settings, click on filter, and then go on active content. So on the row settings, this is just the label, which is active. So let me go into the actual module. So I'm going to go here into the module settings. Again, I'm going to click on active content. And this shows me what is active over here. And this is just this text right here, the description, and also the image and the label item. So this is also useful to see what is active. Again, this cuts down on a lot of the settings that come up with whatever module it is. So I'm just trying to find a module which has quite a lot of things. So let's try this one here. I'm going to go into the settings and click on active content. And again, here we have the video and image URL. So where is this feature useful? So the view active content is actually useful if in situations where you are editing, let's say a module or a section, and you really want to go straight into that particular item to make that change. So you can view what's active and forget about, everything else that's on that module, section, or row. Okay, so that's the active content. So there is a difference here because with the modified styles is where you get to see what was modified in order for you to make quick changes to that. The active content is just showing you what is active on that particular section or row that you are editing. So it just tells you what is active, because sometimes you take a look at a design and you're not sure what is active. So by just doing this quickly, it can tell what is active. Okay. I hope I'm describing that quite well. Okay. So in order for this to work efficiently for you is to combine this with, in fact, before I go into that, let me just take a look here and see if we have any questions. Ravindra says, it has made my life ease. Fantastic. Also, she says, I used it today and it saved me a lot of time on my current project. It's just awesome. Fantastic. Raquel says, I wish closed captioning is available for live video. Right, that's a feature from YouTube. So I don't think that's available at the moment. Uncle Social says, what does active content mean? As I just tried to explain, I don't think I'm doing a great job of explaining it. But let's say you go to your page that you're working on and you have, let's say, things that are disabled on mobile devices or tablets or whatever it is. So if you go on active content, it shows you the content that is active without showing you everything else that you don't need to see. So In fact, let me try and do another demo and see how that works. Okay, so I'm just going to come back over here. Right, so on this row, for example, if you want to see what's active, you go into the row settings, filter, and then active content. So here, all we have is the admin label. So let's take a look at this in wireframe mode. So these are the labels. So you can see here that this is the item that is active on this row. So that's all that is. There's no other settings in that row. So let me try and find a row which has quite a lot of things in there. Let's try this one. Active content. Again, it's just a footer row that was edited. Okay. Let's go to the footer here. Again, it's just a label. Okay, so I'm going to go to this image here and do the same thing. Right, so this is just telling me what is active on that particular item. So let's say, I'm going to try this row as well. I'm just trying to find an example which has quite a lot of things in there so you can see how this works. Let's try this one. Right, so this just tells you what is active. I can't really find a good example where I can show you what is active on a particular item. Okay, so that's just the label. Okay. Let's try this one here. Again, I think that will just show the title. Yeah. But let's say in that row, in that section settings, you had quite a lot of things that were set up. So what would happen is you'd get a list of things here that that would have been used to set up that section. So that's what will be shown here. So at the moment here on the sections, all we have is just the admin labels and nothing else. But if we went in and made more changes, we would actually see those things that are active on that particular item. Okay. Right. Let's take a look here. Okay, we have more comments here on Facebook as well. Karen says, I usually use the FA style sheet and add it to the secondary menu. Ego says you can see all active contents without any filters. That is true. You can see all the active contents, but sometimes you want to drill them down just to take a look at exactly what you're working, what you want to make changes to. Okay, let's take a look here and see if we have any more questions. Right. Okay. It looks like quite a few of you are not still don't understand active content. Okay. So what I'll do here is I'll also link to the post of this feature that I'm talking about because it does really cover quite a lot of things there. So what I'll do is I'm not going to let this go. I'm just going to go in and give you a better explanation of how this active content works. So what I'm going to do here is let me take a look. Okay, so here it says only active design settings that you have adjusted will appear. So this is what I'm trying to explain here. In fact, let me go into my design again and see how that works. Hopefully this time that should show okay. So I'm going to go into my... So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go in and add a few items here. Okay. Right, so I'm going to go into the design. I'm going to go into spacing. I'm going to add a bit of spacing to this, to the bottom as well. I'm going to add a border. But this is going to be, yes, okay, I'll just add the border. And let's add a color to that as well. Like that. So I'm just adding random items here so we can see the active content. So I've also added a box shadow. And okay, there's the blur strength. Okay, so that's my content on this item here. If I come over here now, right, let me just close this and go back into it. This is strange. When I tried this, this actually showed all the changes that I'd done. Okay, I tell you what, I think I'll leave this here because I'm not sure if this is a glitch on my system or something is going wrong. But what I'll do is I will come back with a proper explanation of this active content, because it seems to just be showing just a few items, and it seems to be consistent on all the items I'm trying to view the active content on. But how it's supposed to work is to show the items that you can change quickly on that particular item and get rid of all the things that you don't need. So that's what the active content is. So let's say you go into a module which has quite a list of things that you can change. It shows you those things that are in use rather than showing you everything that you don't really need at that point in time. But what I'll do is I'll play around with this again, and I'll come back with a proper explanation on how this works. Okay, so let's go back here and see if you have any more questions. Tula says, "Why would I disable content?" Yes, you would need to disable content because when you design your pages, there are things that you may want to show on a desktop that you necessarily don't want to show on a mobile. So you can have two different views for desktop and also for mobile devices. So you can actually disable some of these views. So that's when you can actually disable and enable things. Okay, I have a question here. Mac, will these new features work on menus and widgets areas or only on sections and rows? They also work on modules. So if you have a module that has a widget, you can actually use it on that. So let's try that and see how that works. Okay, so I'm just going to switch over here to my desktop and I'm going to add a new row. Right, so I'm just going to add sidebar. So I don't have any sidebars. Okay, in fact, that's a sidebar right there. Okay, so if we go in here, you can still make your modification. So you can see here when I click on modified styles, nothing is showing because I haven't modified anything. But if I start going in and start adding the background color, for example, and I start playing around with the layout, so maybe I want this to be to the right, text. Okay, so let's say these are the changes that I've done, and then I go in here and I want to see all the modified styles. If I go in, you can see this is my background, and then the orientation that I've just done to the right is there showing. So this is how this would work. So if you have any widgets that you want to add to your page, this is how you would add them, and this does work as well. Okay. Okay, let's take a look here and see if we have any more questions. The question here is, once you save it, the active content will disappear. Yes, once you save it, it will disappear. But if you want to go back in and see what the active content is, you can go in and take a look at that. Okay, let's take a look here on Facebook. Tran says, I posted a message, but it was ignored. Let me take a look at what message it is. Tran, I don't see your message. Okay, Tran says, I've got a pretty serious error in version 3.5.1. I used view modified style feature to set the style, but when I click on the color text and delete the available colors, the filter feature is turned off. Right, Tran, what you need to do is you need to go to elegantthemes.com and post this error so our developers and our support team can help you with that, because this channel, I can't really help you with these specific problems. So sorry about that. Let's take a look here. Okay, I'm going to check again here on Facebook and see if we have more questions. Okay, right. So now the next thing I'm going to show you is when you take a look at these features, you can actually use search to drill down and cut down what is actually shown. So let me show you how that search feature works. So I'm going to go back over here to my desktop, and in fact, I'm just going to close this and delete this. This is making this page look very ugly. Okay, so I'm over here. I'm going to go into the settings, filter, modified styles. So as you can see here, these modified styles, there's quite a lot of them. So what you can do to drill down, you can actually use the search options. So on the search here, you could say, let's say you want to take a look at maybe the image width. So if you start typing here, do you notice that image width is now the only thing that's left, because I've just entered the first 3 letters of what's on my list. And if I get rid of it again, you can see that now our modifier styles are a long list. But let's say I want to change the body font weight. So the moment I start typing here like that, you can see now it makes my list even smaller. So this quick feature here as well drills down and eliminates those things that you don't need as you're designing this. So I think this is also one thing that you can use. I use this search option all the time, and the good news is it can now be used with our latest feature on the filter button, which is fantastic. Okay, so now you can also use a combination of the last update. So for example, if you want to do your In fact, let's take a look here. The fluid styles. So you can use the fluid styles in conjunction with this, because let's say you come in here and you go into the module settings, filter, and view modified styles. So let's say you want to add some of these styles to elsewhere on the page. You can just right click on them and start adding them onto the appropriate places. So again, like last time, my right click is not working. This is strange. So I would need to restart my local machine. But these these fluid styles also work, and they work in conjunction with this update. So if you want to take a look more about look at how it's used, the link in the description will take you to the video that Nick did, where he shows you how these fluid styles can be used in conjunction with the filter option. Okay, so let's take a look here and see if we have any more questions. Tula says, is it possible to see the font before I choose it? Yes, it is possible, but you do need to take a very closer look, because the preview is quite small. So let's come over here and let me show you how that works. So let's say I go into text over here, design, text, and let's say I need to change the text itself. So over here you can see it's Oswald. So if I click this drop down, when you mouse over the font itself, it changes. I don't know if you can see this, but it does change. Okay, so that's the preview. Okay, so when you go on the font, that's the little preview that you get, and then you can that just gives you an idea. But of course, it's a bit, quite small, but it has a preview. Okay, let's take a look here and see if you have any more questions. Ravindra, I've just did a demo to show you the font previews. So that preview is a feature which we have in Divi. Okay, so if you're just joining us, this is the Divi Feature Update Live, streaming every Monday at 6 a.m. Eastern. Today, we are talking about the feature which was released last week, which is the filter button. So pretty much what this does is you can use this to trim down what items were used to design a section, row, or module. So this is in fact, let me show you quickly for those of you that are just joining us. So I'm right here on my page. So let's say you want to take a look at what change was made, let's say to this module. If you right click like that, if you click the sections, if you go into filter and click modified styles, this shows you a list of all the items that were modified to create this. Okay. And also you can achieve that by doing a right click. So if you right click here and click on view modified style, that will take you to the same place. So this is a quick option because sometimes you just want to mouse over an area and see what was modified. Like for example here, you can just right click on this section area, view modified style, and that shows you what was modified. And in this case, it was custom padding of 120 pixels to the top and 60 pixels to the bottom. Okay, so in a nutshell, these are the updates. So let me just do one more here. So if I go into the module settings, click the filter, and if you want to know exactly where this filter update, if this update is, it's in all your settings modules. So, and also if you right click, so you can see it right here. Okay. So these are all the styles that can be modified. Okay, so let's take a look here and see if we have any more questions. Okay, so it looks like we don't have any more questions. I'm just going to check one more time on Facebook. Ivan says, buy Divi a beer and it will start building layouts by itself. That was really funny. Okay. Right. So, right. So I'd like to say to everyone that tuned in today for my live stream, thank you very much for tuning in. I really, really appreciate it. And next week, I'll be back again with another feature. And also, what I'll also do is I'm going to change my local machine because I've noticed that there's a few glitches that I get because I'm not running my WordPress install from a hosted site. I'm running it from my local machine. So what I've noticed is there's a few things that don't work, like, for example, the right click. And I don't like that when this happens because it gives an impression that maybe something's not working in Divi. So that's something I'm going to change. So as I said, thank you very much for those of you that tuned in today for this live stream. I'll be back again next Monday at 6 a.m. Eastern with another feature update. So have a great week and thank you very much for tuning in, and I will see you next week.